2464. Nick Fazekas. I'm Ramey. Nick, I'm in Las Vegas. You will shortly be in Las Vegas, possibly by the time this publishes. Nevada is playing at UNLV, going for the regular season sweep. 8 o'clock tip time tonight. Nick and I will be on the radio, 95.5 FM in Northern Nevada, thevarsitynetwork.com, across the internet. Listen to our audio call. Nevada's coming off a pretty impressive win. 84-61 over Wyoming. Kobe went for 27. Tyler Rollison again looking pretty inspired, and Wyoming's not good. So, I'm gonna stipulate that. Nevada shouldn't have lost to them in Laramie. But I mean, it's a 23-point win over a conference opponent. And you have said this repeatedly, but if Nevada can score in the 80s, they're going to win games.
84 points. I mean, the last couple of nights that, it kind of feels like after that Colorado State game, Kobe got in foul trouble. He made that bonehead play at the end of the first half to get that third foul. Just a really poor night. It almost feels like that's kind of ignited him. And the last couple of games, he's really come out and scored the ball. I feel like he's been a lot more aggressive, which has been kind of a bright spot. But yeah, obviously TR's playing at a high level. That Colorado State game has kind of just sent him into a different sort of stratosphere of scoring compared to what he was used to in the beginning of the Mountain West. And yeah, I just think 84, 85, like it's a tough number for some of these teams to get to. And the more often you can get there, it just feels like tonight will be a good test, right? It's two teams that have very similar records, have kind of had the same very similar success and failures here in the Mountain West. So it'll be fun tonight to kind of go get another road game and kind of see if, I don't know, we've said it so many times before, like, is it kind of getting the train back on the tracks or kind of moving in the right direction?
Yeah, I would say UNLV and Nevada have had similar seasons as far as expectations versus results. They are kind of bound together, both in the standings and in how maybe they're feeling about the season. And also, Dedon Thomas has not played the last few games for UNLV because he's got a shoulder injury. So that's a big plot point. And as we record this at 9:26 a.m. on Friday, I don't expect him to play, but I'll do a little more digging on that. A couple other things from Wyoming. You and I don't feel like we've hammered this year. We've just kind of acknowledged it, like the days are shorter in winter. You just acknowledge it. But Nevada's free throwing has not been ideal. And they went 26 of 31 against Wyoming. I don't know if I've actually really gotten your philosophy or your mantra about free throwing. I actually haven't even looked at your free throwing numbers, so forgive me for not doing that. But I've always assumed that's kind of a difficult coaching point, right? If a player bricks a free throw, is it good coaching to run up to him and be like, make your free throws? Like, obviously Steve does that when he's frustrated, make your foul shots, but like he doesn't do that after every miss. And like guys know they're supposed to make free throws. So it's been a challenge for Nevada all year long. I guess we can take the Nevada thing out of it, but like, what's your operating philosophy about free throwing?
I mean, of course, they're free throws, right? They're free. You realize
They're
that some
unguarded.
guys, yeah, right. It's the easiest shot in basketball, I would assume, unless it's just an unguarded layup, but that never happens. But um, I mean, I've had this conversation like with my high school coach, with so many
Yeah.
coaches, where you're trying to like create games and you're trying to just create that pressure like in practice, and it's just not the same. It's just tricky to to emulate with, even 5,000 people and it's in the second half and you're up three and you need, the front end of a one. It's just really hard to emulate. But my philosophy is like I always thought it was fun to try to like play games and competitions against each other. And I always thought a great one was how many can you make in a row? Can you get to 10 in a row? Like, well, we're not going to leave the gym until you get to 10 in a row, things like that. Cause then it like at least emulates some form of pressure to where it's like, I've got 7 in a row. I got to get 3 more. Like I have to, okay. I got like, you know what I mean? Like you're kind of starting to get those like knee knocker free throws at that point. So But yeah, from a coaching standpoint, it is. It's tricky. It's hard to emulate that where like are guys focused, or is it like the end of practice and everyone's kind of tired and it's like towards the end of the year, oh well, let me just shoot these so I can get out of here. Because like, yeah, it's the 3 foot putt in golf, right? Like it's an important shot. Like it's something that makes a difference at the end of the game. And like as you just alluded to, it's like you go 26 of 31 against Wyoming and you win the game by 23 points. Like let's take that thing down to 50%. It's like all of a sudden it's a 10-point game, a single digit game. So um that is my philosophy on free throws. I always took free throws very seriously. And me personally as well, I was always selfish. It's like I get 2 free shots. This is going to add to my scoring average. Like instead of having 18, I'm going to get to 20. Like I was licking my chops for free throws. So I always thought free throws were a good thing. And if you're a guy that can get to the free throw line, I think anyone and everyone should be licking their chops because it's free points.
And this Nevada team has struggled to get to 70% consistently on the year. Where are they right now? Sorry, I'm going to check my stats in real time. Right now, Nevada is shooting 69.4% as a
Yeah.
team from the line, which is, that's very low for a Steve Alford coach team. Um, have you seen anything that you would change about how they shoot free throws? Or is it just they just haven't been consistent this year?
I just don't think there's anything you
Yeah.
change. I mean, guys have their routines. Of course, you and I are sitting there at practice every day. I would imagine Coach Alford, he understands it. He gets it that they're probably near the bottom of the country in shooting free throws, or at least the bottom of the league. I would imagine. So I'm sure he's doing his best, and I'm sure he's pulling his hair out at night, wondering why they can't make free throws because maybe they are doing extra free throw practice, which I got to imagine they are. So.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Yeah,
working
but
on
yeah,
it.
it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like you're going to start telling guys to all shoot them underhand or you're going to start changing
Right.
their routines because that's the last thing you want to do. It's just,
Yeah, you don't want
I
guys thinking
just,
about it too much.
yeah, that's the thing is like, you don't want to think, there's been so many times I've known guys that like they go up to the free throw line and they're thinking, how can I not miss this free throw rather than thinking, I'm going to make this free throw. You know what I mean? Like it's two things that are optimistic in a sense, but it's like I don't want to try to miss or I'm going to make it. Like I used to always kind of like tell myself when I was doing free throws, it was like I'm going to swish this one, and like that was another fun thing where it was like try to shoot swishes, like because then if you miss, then maybe it still goes in because it hits the rim. But like that's the one time where you can just check every surrounding around you, and it's like try to like swish it, try to not hit the rim and see what happens. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, some teams have it, some teams don't, I guess.
I didn't mean to like go down the rabbit hole on that, but that's actually a huge part of basketball, a huge part of the season that I don't believe we've talked all that much about on this pod. So yeah, you shoot 26 to 31, you win by 23. I mean, there is something
Yeah.
connected to it. Okay. Well, yeah, there's not much more to say on it other than it counts and it matters and those things add up, especially in narrow conference losses, which certainly Nevada has endured this year. Okay, so UNLV, Nevada beat them, what, 71-65 back in Reno earlier this year. UNLV's coming off a 77-71 win over San Jose State. And yeah, the Rebels are 9-8. The Pack is 8-9 in the conference. So if Nevada wins this game, they are even in the standings, but they have the tiebreaker over the Rebels. And they're not going to get the bye, but at least you'll finish ahead of UNLV if you can take care of business in the standings. I also thought Nevada responded well to kind of the urgency of the rivalry with the game in Reno. It was the biggest crowd of the year, 11,000. Can the rivalry help carry a team a little bit?
Oh, 100%. And like you're talking about how they kind of stepped up to the plate. That was after losing three straight, right? That was after
Mm-hmm.
losing to Utah State,
Yeah.
San Diego State, and Boise after like three pretty awful performances, right? And then they kind of showed up at home against UNLV. And like I think we talked about this last time where it's like that rivalry plays a part, right? It's not Duke, North Carolina at this point, but it is the biggest in-state rivalry, and there's plenty of people that are in Reno that pay attention to the Rebels, and there's plenty of people that are in Vegas that pay attention to the Pack. So it's like you kind of do have that split house kind of feeling, and I think that generates a little bit more buzz. It kind of generates maybe a 9-8 team versus an 8-9 team that doesn't really feel that way. So I always enjoyed the rivalry. I think rivalries are great in sports. I think it's one of the most fun things to kind of get to be part of. And the fact that UNLV are like the only two, dogs in the fight in the whole state, like it does make it a little bit more fun. And it's always a little bit more fun to go down to Vegas and kind of get to play in their place. And you got to knock them off the first time, and it's never more satisfying than kind of like sitting back later on in your career, as I kind of do, and kind of be like, yeah, I beat UNLV this many times, or like, I got the better of UNLV. So hopefully the guys can kind of feel that and kind of have an understanding that like one day you'll be thinking about these games, whether you believe it or not.
We talked about this before the first game in Reno, but your Wolfpack team was not in the same conference as the Rebels, so you didn't get to do home and home within the same year.
Uh,
But you must have played at Thomas and Mag.
yeah, yeah, I think we did it twice. I think it was always just flip flop, right? Home away, home away. And um, one of the very vivid memories I have at Thomas and Mack was we played at Vermont the game before, and both Ramon and I got food poisoning the night before we played Vermont. And both Ramon and I got moved into the same hotel room. I think I was roommates with Kyle Shiloh at the time, and we ended up flip-flopping. So me and Ramon were literally in there taking turns throwing up in the toilet and didn't sleep the whole entire night. Um, so Ramon and I were both asked to take medication. I actually ended up throwing up again, so that medication was no longer good for me. Ramon did not. And we both showed up to Thomas and Mack, and I was just like out of it. I was drained. I played that Vermont night that after getting food
Vermont.
poisoning.
See, then food poisoning and a cross-continental flight.
Exactly. That was
Okay.
like the most wicked thing, right? Like it was like you showed up for the game against Vermont and you were just completely gassed. And I mean, it didn't even really go through warm-ups. It was like you just got to gut it out. But then, yeah, you take that cross-continental flight, you obviously burn a bunch of energy against Vermont, and then you show up. And I think it was like a Friday game. And I just remember thinking, I don't have any energy. Whereas Ramon did have the energy. And Ramon, I want to say he played well that night. I don't think I played that well, but that was one of my more vivid memories of playing at Thomas and Mack against UNLV. And I can't remember. I want to say we won that night. I can't really remember, but that was a UNLV memory that will stick with me forever.
Well, we'll try to keep you hydrated before the broadcast tonight. I don't need you to. I don't need you. I don't need you to take medicine or anything for this one. You
But
seem. You seem like you'll be ready to go.
yeah, but I mean Thomas and Mack is a fun place. I think it's a cool venue. I think
Yeah.
it's got a good feel to it. It's got a good energy to it. Anyone that's kind of ever played there or been there, it just kind of does have a fun energy to it. It's just off the strip, which is always kind of cool. It's tonight's an 8 o'clock game, so it's a little bit later under the Vegas lights. It's a nice night. Like it's kind of a fun place to play.
Well, I'm excited to work the game with you tonight, 8 o'clock. We're on the air at 7:30, and yeah, hopefully the Pack can get it done, sweep the regular season series. Um, Anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm
All
all right.
right. All right. All right. He's Nick. I'm Ramey. 2464. Peace.